connection client. Now, with the time we've got left, I wanted to talk about a few things. And uh, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the annotation enhancements. Now, as I said, we in previous calls, we've gone through a lot of the changes that we've made. And I want to dig just a little bit deeper into a couple of areas. I think it'll be helpful to you guys. And one of the areas that I want to dig a little deeper in, I know many of you on this call are at an administrative level where you actually go in and set up your DGN Libs and you create your workspaces and you're very intimately involved with that. So I wanted to hit a few things that maybe would help you. One of the changes or the areas that we made changes to actually back in 10.10.1 and was the text favorite manager. And we talked about that and we announced it, but yet I don't know how much we really dug into the details. So there were 4 things that we did to text favorite manager in 10.10. And the first one was we organized the pick list. We incorporated survey and drainage properties. We implemented a select tool and we added a save preview capability. Now, I just want to go through those real quickly. So, for example, if you go back to 10.9 and you open text favorite manager, this is what you saw, right? You had element properties and model properties and file properties and sheet index properties. And then down there in open roads, you just had these kind of things in there. Well, that wasn't very nice, very efficient. So what we did is we organized it. So we added, to be consistent, we added a civil element properties. And then, of course, if you select civil element properties, it's a lot better organized, corridors and geometries and surfaces and survey and annotations. So it's much better organized within text favorite manager. So that's the first thing we did was just organize the pick list. The second thing we did is we incorporated the survey and drainage properties. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, and I'm sure many of you do, that in earlier versions of Open Roads Designer, the survey and drainage properties weren't exposed through text favorite manager. You actually had to go to the text editor and create a text favorite there by selecting the survey or drainage element. Well, as you just saw in the pick list, all of those properties have now been incorporated into text favorite manager. So you've got not only the survey properties, but the drainage and utility properties available to you as well. So again, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a one-stop shop, right? And in previous versions, you had to kind of go 2 different places, which was ugly. Now, text favorite manager is your one-stop shop for all civil text favorites that you're going to create. The next thing we did in text favorite manager is we added a select tool. Now, and I'm going to show you this here in just a second, but in the older versions, if you went into text favorite manager and you had to go from the pick list, you had to go find the property that you wanted from the tree, right? And you had to kind of hunt and peck and paste and a little bit and figure things out. And so, but there was no select tool. But what we've done in 10.10 is we have added a new select element tool. And that thing is very, very nice. And so I just want to show you real quickly what I mean here. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to create a text favorite for the radius of that curve, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a text favorite. And I'll just call it radius, or it doesn't really matter. And in the past versions, what you would do is you would have to go in here and you'd select civil element properties, right? And then you'd have to come into the tree and try to find that value, right? So maybe you come under geometry and you look under geometry and you think, okay, well, where is it? Is it under linear? Well, no, I don't see anything there. Well, maybe it's under point. No, it's not there. You come up under annotation. You start looking there, you can't find it, and eventually you come back to geometry and you said, I know it's got to be under geometry somewhere, and you finally click on element and you think, oh, there it is, circular arc, right? That's not very efficient, right? I mean, it's especially if you're not in there all the time, it's not the most efficient thing. So the select element makes this so much easier. I can just pick the element and I get this little dialog and I come on over under the arc and I just pick the, for example, in this case, the radius, and it automatically takes me to the right location in the tree. Right now I can accept that, and automatically I've got the, the text favorite field, which is circular arc radius. So just makes it so much easier. Let me give you another a quick example of this. Let's just create one for drainage, and maybe I want to create a text favorite for a piece of conduit. So I'll just call it my conduit label. Once again, I can select this piece of conduit and it gives me access to all the fields within that conduit. So for example, maybe I want to create a type and I just go select the feature definition, right? And I just did that over without having to find it in the tree. For example, maybe in my text favorite, I want to label the starting invert. So I just go over and select starting invert. It finds it automatically in the tree, and I just hit accept. Now I want to do the ending invert. Just over there from the properties, I select stop invert, and you've got, and just that simply and just that easily, you have created your text favorite. So the select tool is just, I mean, it's just really nice. I use it all the time because I can't remember where all those things are, and it just makes it a lot easier. So here I'm just going in very quickly. I'm creating a new label. I'm selecting the text favorite. You can see here my conduit label. And I'm just going to select an element template for that. I'm going to go to the placement mode. I'm going to identify that conduit. And you can see here, there's my text favorite. I'll just change the rotation, in this case, to horizontal, right? And, if I want to put a leader on it, I can do that. If I want to put a frame around it, maybe a capsule, I can do that. And just that quickly and easily, without a bunch of hunting and pecking and searching, I was able to create a text favorite and create a label. One other thing that we did that a lot of people may not be aware of is we created a new save preview toggle. Now let me show you what this does. So in the past versions in Text Favorite Manager, you always had a preview. And so that's what it looked like. What you'll notice in 10.10 is there's a new toggle that says save preview. And so it's easier just to show you what this does than to try to explain it. Let me come. Okay, so what I've got here is I've opened my text favorite manager and I have copied I actually copied it out of the labeler DGN Lib. So I've got this label that I've created here, or that's already been created. I just made a copy of it out of one of my DGN Libs. And so what it's doing is it's a standard text favorite, right? So I'm going to go over and I'm going to select that text favorite, and we'll just go down in here into manager mode. And you can see here that I'm using that text favorite from my DGN file that I just created. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and place it, and I want you to see what you get. So this is a station offset. So I'm identifying the alignment, and then I'm identifying the point. Now notice in the preview that it says plan annotation dot point dot station and plan annotation dot point dot offset. In other words, it's showing you exactly what's in the text favorite. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, when you place it, it'll convert those immediately into the values. But I'm going to show you a new option that you have now. So let's go back to Text Favorite Manager, and let's go back to that particular one that I just created. And the point station, you notice you've got the preview there, which is 0 plus 00.00. I'm going to click Save Preview and Accept. And notice it replaces that text string with the preview. Okay, let's do the same thing for point offset. Notice the preview is 0.00 feet right. I'm going to turn on the Save Preview toggle, and I'm going to accept it. And now it's actually, what it's doing is it's actually saving the preview into the text favorite. Now, let's save that and I'll show you the difference. Let's go back to Civil Labeler. And inside of Civil Labeler, I'm going to select that same station and offset. Let's make sure that it's using the one from my DGN file that I just updated, and it is. Now notice the difference. I'm going to go to place, I'm going to identify the alignment and the point, and you'll notice in the dynamics now, instead of getting that text string, they get something that's more akin to what they're going to see, right? And so again, you can do either one. They're both fine. There's nothing wrong with the way it was, but if you want to save the preview into the text favorite, you now have the ability to do that. Now, Civil Labeler, I want to touch on it. You know, we introduced Civil Labeler in the 10.10.0103 version.